Nathan. This is a review we've been waiting for. Google versus Apple. Who's gonna win? I don't know. Let's check it out. We're gonna be comparing the latest iPhone XS Max to the Pixel 3 XL. Now, there's a couple things to keep in mind. One of them is running on iOS. The other one, of course, Android. Now, the cool thing about this is that this is actually Google versus Apple, which I think is pretty neat. It's a cool thing to keep in mind. So, let's quickly run through the statistics. First up, the iPhone XS Max, which I'm just going to call the iPhone, you know, just to make things more simple, I feel, is running a 6.5-inch OLED panel, touch sensitive. There is a notch on it, of course. The Google Pixel 3 XL, which I'm just going to call the Pixel, has a 6.3-inch OLED panel. Now, another thing to note, the iPhone does rock a larger panel, but the resolution is actually a lot less than the Pixel 3. So the Pixel 3 is rocking a 1960 by 1440p resolution screen, whereas the iPhone XS Max is only running 1688 by 1242. Now, the Pixel is using a Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor, and the iPhone is using a A12 Bionic chip. Both of them are rocking 12 megapixel cameras on the rear of the phones. Now, as you can see, the Apple one does have one telephoto, one standard zoom, and then on the back of them, they both feature 8 megapixel selfie cameras, whereas the Pixel has 2 of them and the iOS only has 1. In terms of build quality, both of them are rocking tempered glass sandwiched with some aluminum in between them. Both of them are pretty straightforward. One side you have nothing, the other side you have volume up, volume down, and a toggle switch to either mute or lock your screen. On the next side of it, you have sleep, volume up, volume down on the Pixel. On the iPhone, you just have sleep, wake, as well as a SIM card. That's where you insert it. And on the bottom of the Pixel, you have your USB Type-C as well as your SIM card. And on the bottom of the iPhone, you have your Lightning connector as well as a speaker grill. How do you lock each device on iOS? Apple, you can only use Face ID, so you turn it on, you look at it, you swipe up from the bottom, and you're set. You're good to go. On Pixel, you only have one other way to do it, and that is through its fingerprint reader. Now, they call it a Pixel reader. You just put your finger on it, and it actually unlocks your phone pretty quickly. That's one thing I like about the Pixel. If you want to quickly get into your phone, you click, and it immediately unlocks it. Both of them also have a PIN code access. This way, if you're first restarting your phone, it wants to know that it's actually you, so you require a PIN code. In terms of sleep screens, the Google does have an always on display, whereas the iPhone does not. You just have to tap it and it shows you your notification stuff. If you tap the Pixel, it also wakes it up and it should show notifications. Now, the two final statistics to talk about that are very important in any smartphone are both the battery as well as the storage capabilities. Now, the iPhone only has a 3174 milliamp hour battery, which is pretty good. It'll get you through a full day. I've never had a problem with it. The Pixel 3 XL has a 3430 milliamp hour battery, which is a bit larger than the iPhone XS Max, and of course will last you that bit longer. I've never had a problem with either. I've used both for full days, consuming media, taking photos, checking emails. I've never had a problem with it. Now, the next thing to note is the storage. The Pixel 3 is limited to only 128 gigabytes of storage. You can either get 64 or 128 gigabytes. We have the 128 gigabytes and it's non-expandable. Google wants you to use their cloud storages, which is why they limit the amount of storage that's built into the phones. Now, the iPhone has up to 512 gigabytes of storage, which is the one I am rocking right now. So that's a lot of media you can download onto your phone without having to worry, you know, if you run out of space or not. So specs aside, how good is each phone to use in everyday life? Now, we're gonna be covering a couple things. The first one being how good is the camera. It's very important. Your smartphone these days is pretty much your camera. It's always with you. You wanna snap pics, which one's better at it? As well as what is better for consuming media. These are important things that we need to know. So, let's get into it. Our trusty mascot, our trusty model for the day. We're gonna be seeing which phone is better at taking photos. This is our llama. It's a very nice llama. First up, the Google Pixel 3. Supposedly the best camera in any smartphone ever. You know what they say about this phone? The camera just got a better phone. Well, I only care about this portrait mode. Look at our pretty llama. Look at him. So we're gonna tap its eye. I want its eye-ish to be in focus. We're gonna take that photo. We're gonna set that aside. Let Google process its image. Got the phone, portrait mode on iOS. Ooh, now it is using both cameras, so you have to zoom back a bit. Take the photo. It's glorious. Let's compare. Which one is the better portrait mode? Nathan, what do you think?
iOS.
Why do you say that? You don't know, do you? I'm about to show you. All right, here we are, the two photos side by side. I try to get it as accurate as possible. This is the closest I could get with iOS with its dual camera system. Let's look at these side by side. Nathan, which one best resembles this llama? Which one's more color accurate? Which one looks better? iPhone. Ooh. Really? Interesting. Now, a couple of things I will note between these two images. On the Pixel 3 XL, it is a lot sharper. I can see each strand of hair that's coming out of this guy's fluff situation. I can see it. There's more detail in there, whereas in the iOS one, it's a bit more blurred out. Now, when you are doing a portrait mode, usually it's of someone's face and you don't want it to be super sharp. That way you don't see all the blemishes. That's one thing to keep in mind. Now, the iOS has a cool feature that we're not too sure if the Pixel has. You can actually adjust the depth of field that comes with this. So it's loading its information. Right now it's set to an equivalent of f4.5. The lower the number, the more blurry the background is. So keep that in mind. We're gonna bring it all the way down to f1.4. Look at that. You don't even know what room it's in. It looks like it's just in a color palette. Look at that. Look at that. That popcorn machine in the background, it looks like mush. Looks like a red blob. Looks like a kid drew that. Look at that. That's blurry. That's blurry. Now, that's usually an effect that a professional camera would have with an expensive lens on it. On the Pixel 3, you are able to adjust the depth as well. It's not just exclusive to iOS. So we're gonna try to bring this up. Bring this slider all the way up. The depth, I changed it to the max. It is now doing its thing. Did I do it to the max? Hello. I did do it to the max. Oh. Nathan. The Pixel 3 is lacking in a bit of depth. So these are both of them at their maxed or shallowest depth of field, meaning the most blurred out background. And as you can see, the Pixel 3 with just using the one lens isn't able to quite get the same effect that the iPhone has. Both look amazing though, I will say. Like either or, which camera's better?
iPhone.
You think iPhone's better? For portrait mode, iOS does have a lot more features that the Pixel 3 doesn't have, but the Pixel 3's images are a lot sharper. So what Nathan was telling me is somewhat of a conclusion to what I said. The Pixel 3 just has that much more detail than the iOS phone has, but the iOS straight out of the camera without being edited at all, I'm sure you could get this effect if you edit your Pixel 3 images, is more pleasing to the eye. Its color science just looks a bit better. Both of them are amazing for photos. I will say the iOS has a bit of an edge in terms of taking photos of people, whereas the Pixel 3 has an edge when taking photos of everything else. Alright, on to consuming media. Let's see which one is better at Instagram. I love Instagram. You love Instagram. We all use Instagram. Everyone uses Instagram. Is this screen on max? The screen is on max brightness? Ah, Google, you're killing me. It's hard to see. I can see the iOS one. I feel like I'm just ripping. I love this Pixel 3, but still. Here we are, Bora.v Bora. Woo! This is a good channel to compare. It features a lot of vibrant colors, a lot of rich colors, something you like to see on Instagram. So, first up, see how it looks. Which one looks better? I don't know. I don't know. Right off the bat, with both pages loaded to the exact same place, you can see that there's more content being shown on the iOS device, and that is because it features a more vertical orientation to its screen. There's less of a chin, whereas this has a pretty big chin over here, as well as that new haptic button that the new Pixel 3 features. So that's cutting off a bit of your screen real estate. If you scroll down, we're going to put it into this mode here. This way we can see it like a normal feed. Ooh. Both of them look good. Nathan, to the eye, to your eye. Very important. Which one looks more pleasing to look at?
iPhone's brighter.
iPhone is brighter. What if we dim these lights? Let's say you're scrolling through Instagram at night, usual case scenario. Which one looks juicier? Woo! Important questions.
Very difficult to tell.
Very difficult. That is true. That is true. Both of them do look amazing. One thing I will say is that on the Pixel 3, because it has that wider aspect ratio in terms of its screen real estate, you do see a larger image, which is nicer. When I'm looking at these two, both of these are the exact same image, but on the Pixel 3, it is larger. It is easier to see, as you guys can see in the heads-up display. Looks good. Both of them look good. Alright, so how well is each device at consuming video media in your spare time? A lot of us watch YouTube. You watch YouTube. If you're watching this right now, you are on YouTube. Which one is better at watching YouTube? Buy nothing on Amazon for 10 bucks. So, right off the bat, let's see which one is better at consuming media. Now, one thing that Android is infamous for, especially on YouTube, is giving more features to Android phones that is prohibiting Apple users from using. So to start off, if we go to the top here, we go to quality, I'm able to access 1440p 60 frames per second on the Pixel 3 XL, whereas if you go to the iPhone, you're limited to only 1080p at 60 frames per second, and we uploaded this content at 4K 60 frames per second. So it kind of shows how they're holding back Apple phone users that will limit your experience. Now, 1080p on a screen this size. Woo! This is 1440p. Look at that. Look at that. Pinch to zoom, fill your screen.
You keep unboxing things, you're not satisfied. Get the newest phone, the newest
How's
laptop,
that look?
newest camera.
Can't focus? Focus.
Newest robot.
Can't focus?
Newest drone. Everything you have is the newest. What do you get?
I mean, it's hard to beat that. It looks pretty good. Now, one thing that a lot of people will get annoyed of is this notch. It does take up a lot of your screen, and it's a bit asymmetric. One thing with the Pixel 3 is that you have this pretty big chin down here, which pushes the video to the side of your phone. If that doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you. Same here, when it's in normal viewing mode, it's a bit off-centered. Now, when we are looking at it on iOS, full screen, let's turn up the volume, let's see how it looks. Don't forget, this is only 1080p.
When you get all the tech you want, you know, you have everything. You keep on
Pinch to
things,
zoom.
You're not satisfied.
Woo!
Get the newest phone, the newest laptop.
Newest phone, newest laptop, newest camera.
That's new.
I don't know what else can you get that's new. Now, on the iPhone XS, it might be more pleasant to the eye because it is centered in your phone. The notches or the bezels on both sides are the exact same. When it's in normal viewing mode, it's the same on the left, same on the right. Then there is that notch. It's a bit less intrusive. It's less tall. It's more narrow and long, which could be more pleasing to the eye. So, which one is better for viewing media? From our quick little tiny visit, both of them look super crisp. There is that added benefit of the Android phones where you are allowed to watch content in a higher resolution if that matters to you, which it should. Okay, this way everything looks a bit more crispy. It's important. That forehead though, that notch, it's not that big of a deal, if I'm being honest. I've used these phones for quite a long time. I don't really care about that notch. Usually no one's posting like important details at the side of their frame. Alright, so in conclusion, which phone will I recommend? Which phone would I use? Nathan, what do you think? But wait. Before I say anything else, I forgot to mention the price. Now, this is where a lot of people will sort of get scared away from the iPhone, as well as a bunch of other things. The Pixel 3 XL in Canadian costs $1,250 for this exact model. This is a maxed out storage spec. That's about it. That's the only thing you can sort of customize on these phones. It's a lot of money. $1,250, right? The iPhone XS Max base model in Canadian dollars is $1,400. Now, when you're at this price point, that's still a lot of money. That's like 10% added on to the price of the Pixel 3 XL for the iPhone XS Max base model. And this is the maxed out Pixel 3 XL. That's expensive. I didn't realize that until now. It's an expensive phone. Alright, so in conclusion, which phone would I recommend if you are an Android user? You love Android. Android is your life. 100% go with the Pixel 3 XL. It is the top of the line Android phone you can get right now. It is so cohesive. That's a big word for me. Alright, everything just works together. Everything is just nice. Google obviously knew what they're doing when they were making this phone. They optimized it for their own software, which is super nice. But the Apple phone, there's something that Apple does that no other company does. I have a laptop. I have the MacBook Pro. The way it syncs everything across my different devices is sort of something no other company has. You know what I'm talking about. You have a MacBook. You have an iPhone X. Everything's just there.
Easy.
It's easy. I have messages. It's on every device. I have contacts. It automatically syncs to each device. It's Apple. But with that being said, the phone that I would recommend to someone right now that is interested in getting a new smartphone, a new flagship phone, the iPhone X, last year's model. It performs the exact same. It's just as snappy as these two with iOS 12, and it's for a lot cheaper. I mean, you can pick up secondhand iPhone X's, iPhone Xs for like $800, $700. It's a bargain. Whereas these are like above $1,000. That's a lot to spend on a new phone. That's it. iPhone X, get it. It's like half the price. Literally. But between the two of these, just get the Pixel 3 XL.